William had another question. It's related to this search tool we did. We saw how easy it was to set up a search tool for these types of positions for the collars that we wanted to see. And William's question that came in at 5:11, 20 minutes ago, is related to the search tool for different strategies. It's a simple question. I am looking to trade some long calls on IBD type stocks going at least 150 days out in time. Can you show me the most efficient way to use power options to find good candidates? Absolutely. And because you have some specifics in mind, William, just like we had some specifics here, we want to keep that sort of 2-to-1 risk-reward ratio with the standard long caller structure, not in the money as David was looking for, but was also looked like a good profitable approach, but he had a 4-to-1 risk-reward ratio instead of a 2-to-1. That's all. And a higher probability of getting assigned, of course, with the in the money. And we set a positive premium and then some basic things, basic stock criteria. So now we'll go to long call and we'll go into search and we'll do the same thing. Clear filters. All expirations, 150 days minimum. You can put an upper range if you want. Let's just say 500. You don't need an upper range. Anything greater than 150, just leave the upper range blank, William. Okay, now, some things that you didn't tell me on this, but you'd figure them out for yourselves. So you want to do an IBD type stocks. Okay, so you've got your time frame set. Go to lists. You can look at the IBD 50 and CanSlim combined, IBD 50 and CanSlim and weekly review combined. Let's just use that. Okay, so now you're almost 90% done of what you want to do. The last thing is, what kind of calls do you buy? Buying high delta, buying low delta, out of the money. Let's see, long calls, IBD going at least 150 days. Can you show me the most efficient way to use power options? Okay, you didn't mention it. So if I wanted to look for calls that were slightly in the money, you know, maybe 1 or 2 strikes in the money, naturally we could just put that in. 1 to 2 strikes in the money. And you can choose just to go 1 result per security or not. Okay, so let's go ahead and submit it. All right, I'm ordering by earnings per share growth, similar to what I'd see in the married put screen. So that's why you're seeing booking at the top, followed by NBIX. These are ordered by the highest earnings per share growth. I don't have that as the filter here, of course, in that case. Now you've got 600 results though. Okay, so you've got any potential stocks in that system. Now you could narrow it down and say, yeah, I want to be 150, but I want to be less than 300. This might cut it in half. You don't want to be a year out in time, William. That's it. Okay, now you're down to 394. Not quite by half, but there you go. Okay, and then you can tweak it. So if you wanted to be out of the money with the calls, you just change the filters. You know, so instead of being 1 to 2 strikes in, I want to be 1 to 2 strikes out. The stock price doesn't matter. You're buying the option, but let's say you wanted the option ask price to be less than $50 per contract. That might take out the booking.com ones. It might take out some alphabet ones that if you want it to be out of the money in that case. But there you go. You're down to 341. Still a lot, but that's essentially it. What's going to help you further restrict these? Well, of course, now I can put in some open interest and volume, some basic ideas. If you had a certain IV range, you didn't want to pay into something, pay into an option that's far out of time right now that's in the 80th percentile of its total IV range. You wanted to keep it, say below 65. Okay, because I'm buying it, so I want to be in the lower IV range of the total life of the option. 303. I'm not making a lot of dent here, William. But anyway, that's the easiest thing to do. For you, because you have 2 or 3 things already in mind, it's easy just to start off with clearing the filters, put in that expiration time frame you desire. All right, so we clear it first, put in your desired expiration time frame. Some basic criteria for maybe option ask price, or if you want to be in or out of the money. And remember, just as we talked about earlier, with sort of that wheel approach for selling naked puts in the covered calls, you could put in a delta. If you just want to see long calls with a delta of 0.6 to 0.8, or you want it to be 0.8 or higher, or you want to be out of the money, so you want the delta to be between 0.3 to 0.5, you could put that in as well. Some liquidity, maybe open interest and volume. And then you just go to the lists. And you could even just use the IBD 50 stocks or not. And you could add in some basic technicals. Let's see if this takes it down. Most of these will probably be there, but let's say I wanted the stock to be above the 50-day moving average in this case. Whatever. 219. That made the biggest dent, actually. Okay. So we're still lowering some down here. And again, we got rid of some of those higher price stocks because remember, I limited the ask price of the option to be less than $50 per contract. So we still have some at or out of the money options here that are far out in time. With our premiums here, my, of course, setup for the ones might be different. And I do have the percent implied volatility range. So we see that most of them, of course, are where we want them to be, 32, 20, 17% for where it has been over the life of the option. So that's pretty good as well. Okay. So William, that's the simplest way to do it. We've got a lot of that legwork done for you. Clear the results. And by the way, this is the same type of approach I'd use for any strategy. If you told me you wanted to, we already looked at long collar, naked puts, and somewhat covered calls. But if you told me that you wanted to look for, let's say, okay, we'll do it. Bull put credit spreads that are under 30 days out in time with an 80% probability or higher, but a 15% higher return only on S&P 500 stocks, or let's say even S&P or NASDAQ 100 stocks, okay? Okay, let's say NASDAQ 100, great. Not a recommendation or suggestion. You know what I do. I tend to use that weekly bull puts default screen with similar criteria. But you want NASDAQ stocks less than 30 days out in time, any expiration, with a 15% return or higher and 80% probability. That's enough right there to create a search. So any strategy, clear the filters, all expirations, less than 30 days. I could go right out to the standard December expiration, but we're going to look at anything weekly too. So I'm going to 0 to 30. What did I want? 15% return. Net credit, well, you're going to want something there. But again, I'm more focused on the return to the risk. And probability greater than, hit enter there. Probability greater than 80. Oh, and let's say I just wanted to use 5-point strikes. And I don't want 2, I don't want 2.5, I don't want 10. I just want 5-point strike differences. I'll put that in. Yeah, I'm going to want some liquidity on these, need some open interest. And then, what do I do here? NASDAQ 100. Submit it. Probably going to have too many results. Only 30. But what's the other thing I have to do? Because this is a bull put spread where if it goes against me, I could take 100% loss. To avoid what I don't want to see, take out the earnings between now and expiration in the fundamentals tab. Had 30 results, have 19. Excellent. So there you go. All the bull put spreads with an 80% probability, 15% return minimum, some liquidity on NASDAQ 100 stocks that don't have earnings between now and expiration. 5 or 6 criteria. I didn't even put in the stock in an uptrend, which I'd probably do in this case, but it's simple, basic. Of course, the one thing that made it even more basic was setting the strike difference to just $5. We could find 6 or 7-point strikes, maybe 10 points that fit our criteria with a 15% return, but there we go. So that's as complex, I understand, for anyone who's new that's come into Power Option and you've taken a look at this search tool and thought it was overwhelming. In most cases, when you're looking to start a new strategy and a new trading technique, you have part of a trading plan already. You know that if you're doing covered calls, well, you might be out of the money because you want to hold the stocks long term and keep selling out of the money calls against it to generate a dividend-like income. Or you might want to be like David and be going in the money looking for a higher probability of a sign and just earning 1 or 2%, and you want stocks in an uptrend. Right there, that's about 5 or 6 criteria that you can put in: your expiration time frame, minimum return or return if assigned, probability if assigned, or range out of the money, and then just some basic stock criteria of, hey, for covered calls, for bull puts, I'm avoiding earnings between now and expiration. William, your far out search naturally doesn't have that issue because you're going to be crossing in earnings and you might even be looking for that on the long calls. But yeah, I'm going to want a stock in an uptrend. Maybe I want a good average stock volume. That's 5 criteria right there. And I've narrowed the entire universe of bull put credit spreads. Of course, I wanted NASDAQ stocks. That helps. But I would just increase the criteria if I wasn't using the list. I'd use the MACD. I'd use the simple moving average, the average stock volume, maybe even the market cap to look for more stable to neutral stocks for the cash secured naked put, bull put credit spread, even a calendar call spread, diagonal spread, poor man's covered call, or the covered call. Use similar stock criteria. But you probably already have 5 or 6 criteria in your back pocket that you're ready to use that will narrow down the universe of options drastically. But of course, for those of you that don't, that's why we have the default screens here for you to use as a stepping stone in all the strategies. Start there, and then you can tweak the criteria later on to find the positions that meet your personal risk reward tolerance in any of those 23 strategies we looked at earlier. Okay, that's how easy it is to use the search tool, even though it can be intimidating at first. But again, you probably already have, even though you don't think you do. When you look at the tool, you get a little bit overwhelmed, but you're in a strategy for a reason. You have a target in mind for return, goals for an annual return, a basic criteria in the structure that you think you want to use. And that's how easy it is to use the search tool for these different strategies. We covered creating essentially 4 searches. Naked put we looked at initially, and then we did the collar, then we did the long call, and then we just came back to the bull put credit. In a sense, the covered call would be very similar as well. And as you can see here, we have defaults for you for monthly and weekly picks of the day, but other defaults in the search tool for you to use as a stepping stone to help you. But again, you probably already have some criteria that's going to get you started right away. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time. I think we've handled all the questions there that we were looking for, and added a little bit extra into it too. We covered a lot on the search for doing the collars, long calls, and even a little bit on the bull put credit spread screens also. We covered the wheel technique and how to do that. One thing I guess we didn't get into too much today, although we covered it a little bit on that wheel discussion at the beginning, was management techniques and rolling and adjusting positions. Didn't get into that this week, but I did show the portfolio in the wheel discussion about how to see the rollout opportunities when you're tracking any position in the Power Options portfolio. Let's go back real quick and take a quick look at that. I'm going to look at the, oh, that one's not as bad as I thought. It was down 21%. Probably nothing here. So we simulated buying the stock at 33.89, selling the 30 call for 5.35. Oh, this isn't bad. The stock's at 26.65. Let's go ahead and take a look. Let's go to position actions and position analysis. Even though the stock is down to 26.65, well below our purchase price of 33.89, we sold the 30 call for 5.35. So we're above break even, actually, I think. The stock has fallen, but we took in 5.35. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 5.35. Yeah, so we're $2 down. But there we go. Here's some rollout opportunities. We can roll out to the December 25 call and turn a negative 6.6% loss into a 0.3% return. We roll out to January 25. We keep a positive adjusted credit. It's, you know, this call is going to expire worthless, but we can get more premium here to keep a positive net credit. We could roll to the 25 and have a positive return to January, or turn a 6.6% loss to a 0.3% gain rolling to December. And as always, it's great to see things numerically. But when you're evaluating a rollout opportunity, you can go to Simulate Trade. And now you see the side-by-side picture on the position. Here on the left in red is our current position. Original expected return of 5%, but we're down about 7.6%. And we'll lose about 6% at expiration if the call expires. We roll down now to slightly in the money. We can turn a losing trade into a slight winning trade with that move. Now we have to analyze the sentiment. Do we still feel bullish on this stock going forward? But that's the benefit of the portfolio tools and the rollout ideas, where all the math is done for you. So it kind of takes the guesswork out of what should I roll to, how can I repair it? It's shown here. And if no rollout appear, an example of a covered call or a naked put, we're getting put the stock because it's fallen too far. As we saw, there weren't any covered calls on that. Was it NVIDIA position we were looking at? I think it was a different position. It wasn't NVIDIA, it was the other position, the SNBR position we were looking at in the first discussion for David. Well, that's why we have that stock repair tool that you can use. You can plug in your stock, click on stock repair, put in the cost basis of your position if you were put the stock, and it'll try to build a ratio call spread, but nothing's naked. It's essentially a covered call with a bull call debit spread that'll help you get back to break even faster than selling calls perhaps against it, depending on how far the stock has dropped and where it is. There's a lot of webinars on that as well. We talked about that before. God, wasn't there one recently? I don't think it's options. Oh, there it is. Yeah, from October 31st. A look at the stock repair. So that's a quick 13-minute walkthrough on using the stock repair. If you do have a covered call that's fallen, you own a stock that's fallen, or you had a naked put and the stock fell too much and it's put to you and you can't see any ways to get a positive return, take a look at this video. Take a look at the stock repair to get ideas on how this tool can help you get back to break even faster, turn a losing trade into a winning trade in those scenarios. Okay, fantastic. All right, well, I'm sorry there. We did have just a couple comments in. Chuck says, stay safe, Mike, as we were wrapping up there. Yes, you too, Chuck. It was great seeing you joining us today. I hope you have a fantastic weekend and you stay safe and as well. And I'm sorry there. William said the same thing. Great session. You were on fire today. Yep, except for that first 6 minutes when I didn't realize that the screen was paused. That's why we went back through David's first 6-minute discussion. And Kip says, great session, Mike. Thanks so much. Have a relaxing weekend. Stay safe. Thank you, Kip. You do the same. I just want to remind everyone, of course, that today's material are my thoughts on your questions designed for educational purposes, increasing investing performance and options knowledge. Any stocks or options discussed today, the naked put on SNBR, that collar trade that we looked at, some of the long calls that came up the search, should not be taken as direct recommendations or direct trading suggestions. They were used for educational purposes and simulations only related to the topics at hand. As we've seen, options do involve risk, and they may not be suitable for all investors, but of course, we do offer education to help you with the further ideas that we were talking about before on management techniques, adjustments, protecting positions such as the naked put, the covered call, and more. You saw a lot of use of the great tools today. We saw analyzing the positions with the custom spread tool, the portfolio tool to evaluate rollout opportunities, adjustments, and see the before and after picture. The search tool for setting up that naked put screen, setting up the collar screen to match what we wanted, setting up the long put screen. We even looked at the bull put credits. You can have 14-day access. You're not a member, you haven't taken a trial before. All you need to do is go to PowerOp.com, put in your name and email address, and you'll have full access to the suite of tools for 14 days, no credit card required. Access the search, the research, the signature tools such as the stock repair and others, the portfolio for tracking and managing the position, plus access to most of the education webinars and other content as well. After that, the monthly subscription starts at just $45 per month for the end-of-day data service. Most popular level of service is the 20-minute delayed at $65 per month. We, of course, do offer a real-time service and access to our historical back testing tools as well there. So you can take a look at that at the subscriptions. You can cancel the subscription at any time. You can also upgrade or downgrade the subscription at any time as well. Now, other free stuff, I had mentioned already the webinars page. It's a public page. You can go to powerop.com/webinars.asp and start going through. Now, the first 5 or 6 webinars in some of the categories, option strategies, concepts, and topics, may be blocked out for you. Those recent ones are for subscribers only. But there's about 20 to 30 webinars in each one of those individual sections. And we talked about the one in the options concepts of the stock repair, in the option strategy section of managing the naked puts. We were in David's discussion because it's Pierre's discussion. I'm sorry, not David. It was Pierre's discussion. My apologies. In regards to managing a naked put without usually using the term wheel or the triple income strategy or anything like that. And of course, all of the webinars that we do for our Friday sessions and for others are also posted on YouTube and public. So you can just go to YouTube, find Power Options, and then just go ahead and scroll through the different videos. You can even search through all the videos. You can just type in bull put credit spread or type in bull put, type in calendar spread, and you'll see all the videos that we have with the titles in there for those various strategies as well. Well, if you think of any questions later on this weekend or any other time, remember you can always reach us, send us an email to support@powerop.com or support@radioactivetrading.com. You can also call us during market hours at 302-992-7971. Remember, the trial members and subscribers, you can schedule a coaching session at any time. That's that 35 to 45-minute phone conversation with myself or Ernie. We'll walk you through the tools on the site and answer any questions that you have as well. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that does it for this evening. A little bit early today. wrapping it right up. I will try to get these webinars, some of these sections. We'll have Pierre's section cropped into one. That took us almost 30 minutes or so. And then we'll have David and William's discussion. And then we'll get into William's second discussion where we talked about the perhaps caller search and the call screens as well. So we'll have maybe 3 webinars out of this one after it's all broken up. And I'll try to get those for you this weekend. You'll receive an email when those are available and posted to YouTube. So thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for your questions, William and Octavio and everyone else, Kip too. Chuck, thank you for your help. Thank you for joining us. Stay safe, everyone. Wear your mask, wash your hands, stay healthy. Have a great, relaxing weekend, as Kip said, and I believe William said as well. Take care. We'll see you soon. Good night.